Television has been home to some great exposés, many of them on this programme.
Primark say they never employ children. So what are these children doing, beading nightwear in a refugee camp?
And the girl, she's 11. She's 11 years old.
I think if that garment's made by children that young, it's fundamentally wrong, and they need to launch an immediate investigation to find out what's going on in their supply chain. Guaranteed.
Primark's first reaction was that they didn't recognise this garment and denied selling it. But our undercover buyers found it on their rails and ordinary shoppers bought it, trusting their ethical guarantees.
Tonight, Panorama goes inside a hospital trust that was in crisis. It lost 90 patients to the superbug Clostridium difficile, with over 1,000 people infected.
We actually joked that they might have a deal with the undertaker because we actually saw so many bodies going out.
What you're about to see may come as a surprise to those in Westminster who aim to boost the numbers on tags by around a third over the next 2 years. Tags were an alternative to custody for the chosen few. But with our prisons nearly full, are we taking risks on people tags were never intended for?
Convicts got the whole thing packed now.
For a tagging order to be effective, the offender must fear the consequences of breaching it. But for some youngsters, tags are considered a badge of honour.
You can commit crimes here when you're on tagging it. It's nothing.
I play TV quiz shows for just over 3 weeks. And in that 3 weeks, I racked up a telephone bill of over £350.
I was unaware that every time I rang, I was being charged 75p for it.
In February, it emerged that, just like with GMTV, lots of them never had a chance of winning because the shortlist was drawn up before the phone lines closed.
Parts to a very similar recipe, but without all the additives. The idea was to see how the quality of these varied over time.
Now, I am quite fond of a quarter pounder. I love the flavour, but I have no idea what's in them. I'm going to go in there, buy one, and see if the staff can tell me how much salt, sugar, or fat is in their burger. Actually, they did quite well. The girl who served me didn't know, but she asked her manager, and her manager said, look, don't be silly, it's on the box. There it is. And what he also gave me, which looks like they're using as placemats, is the graph showing you what each symbol means. So, although there's probably more fat in this burger than I wanted, at least I now know exactly how much is in it.
Noon make millions of ready meals a month for big stores like Sainsbury's and Marks and Spencer. Today, they're out to convince me that this is just like home cooking.
Now, this is serious cooking.
Only on a bigger scale.
It's like a scene from Alien. How is it that ready meals have become so popular?
Time is a massive factor. It's an enormous issue. People come back, they go up to here, whatever the reasons, finish a long day, they don't have time for that.
Well, you see the thing, it looks like a decent brasserie plate of food. Hang on.
It's been a lot of work. When you see how much work there is behind this pack, which also equally has been done.
That's all the work making you look 20 years younger. They're wasting the budget, Joe Christo.
Earlier, Chris Hawkins was telling us how his father, Fred, barely ate for 9 days during a stay in hospital. Chris wants to know what the consequences can be for patients not eating enough when they're ill.
If patients become malnourished or are malnourished in hospital, then it can significantly delay the recovery process and increase their length of hospital stay.
The Feezies are struggling with the news of Michael's cancer. They want to fight it with food.
We have a 50-50 chance of seeing our 5th wedding anniversary. We only got married 6 months ago. It's live or die, essentially. So, you know, we have every intention of making it a live, and a lot through food. Are you what?
Sorry.
Excuse me. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You just can't be there.
He says his interrogators in Morocco and Afghanistan knew everything about his life in London, his girlfriend, his kickboxing club, his friends at the mosque.
Binyam told me that the most depressing moment of his whole experience in that awful torture in Morocco was when he figured out that the British government had to be feeding information to the Moroccans. There's nothing necessarily wrong with different governments sharing intelligence, as long as they're not sharing intelligence that results in the false incarceration of innocent people, and certainly as long as those governments are not implicated in torturing people.
Winnie's heard that prisoners have more human rights than she does, and she's about to do something quite unruly about it. Posing as my sound man, she's come to collar some politicians. The plan is simple. Winnie's got to get close enough to some unwitting MPs to try and steal their watches, and then demand to be arrested.
In this life, one thing counts, in the bank large amounts. I'm afraid these don't grow on trees, you gotta pick a pocket or two.
And could you spare me your watch for a moment? Thank you very much.
I wouldn't dream of having you arrested.
Well, I must get into prison because I want to enjoy prison life, you see.
We were hoping to make our own bit of history.
When you just look at this, if you can't build housing here, you sort of wonder where you can build housing.
I bought that land. I can stay on my land from light to dark, and none of you can stop me.
Unhappy with renting in England, Petra's come to Germany to see her brother Thomas. He also rents, but being a tenant here is quite different. They get more for their money, and they've been able to make the changes they want.
Hello.
Wow! God! This is fantastic.
Petra's rent is 3 times what her brother pays for this garden flat. And in Germany, tenants are protected by law. They can stay as long as they like. Sarah Bliss is living on her land without planning permission. Her battle to stay is almost over. She's lost her appeal, and the district council have told her to be out.
I feel it's all so pointless, you know, to hound somebody out of their home for so little a reason.
As a kid, I was born with this face because of a rare condition. This is me now, and I'm not finished yet. In this film, for the first time, I'll ask why I've put myself through all this pain. To launch my new face, I'm having a new face party. I just wanted tonight to be special really. I've asked everyone to come in a mask or over-the-top makeup. Where I already have my new face, they need to create one for themselves. 2 of my best friends, Bex and Becky, come early. Bex has Cruzon syndrome, which is similar to mine, and Becky has a disfigured eye.
She looks dead different, she looks like one. She's just got so much confidence and she can just go and do whatever she wants to do now.
A great night, but my transformation isn't complete, and as I come to terms with this face, I know that soon I'm going to have to get used to another one. My next stop is looming.
You just take a knife and you literally press it down your skin and just pull it. You end up bleeding. And self-harm is like when you breathe again. Today is my last day here, moving out in about an hour, which is a bit scary. But I don't know, I think it's kind of this chapter's closed. I'm going to be starting a new one, and hopefully it'll be better.
End of something I did not want to end. Beginning of hard times to come. And this is the start of what was. It's the end of something I did not want to end. Beginning of hard times to come.
I'm getting cold.
But something that was not meant to be is done. And this is the start of what was.
What is it that makes a maverick?
You've got to have some sort of idiosyncrasy to be a maverick. You've got to have something that marks you out as not like other people.
Well, I suppose it's the idea that they do sort of buck the system, that they are not good boys.
The bad boys ranged from a brilliant rogue of the 18th century.
He was an extraordinary character who was prepared to say, I'm a blasphemer, I'm an atheist, I believe in loving as many women as it's humanly possible to do.
To some reckless rebels of more recent times.
What were the things that made you different from the others?
Charm. I've got charm.
Those politicians with a maverick streak have an advantage. They often draw the biggest crowds.
Is it possible that you've actually, making a bit of a mountain out of a molehill? A molehill? A molehill?
I still enjoy sex, drugs and rock and roll. It's just that now I feel better able to cope with it.
Alex is 58 and from Kent. 10 years ago, back in 1997, as he neared the big 5-0, he bought the ultimate symbol of the youthful rebel. Geoffrey Hilliard is a 76-year-old. He's fit and healthy, but as he's got older, he has become more aware of his own mortality. Having made the decision to die at a time of his choosing, Geoffrey has also decided how he will do it. He has bought 2 cylinders of a gas, which when inhaled, will kill him.